Morning, peeps. I'm back from a really enjoyable trip to the mountains where I sorted out my FPL team. I came back all happy because my team was finally sorted out. First thing I do, turn on Sky Sport, and I found something that's got me slightly troubled, peeps, because I'm a man of detail, and even little things can make me change my mind. So, what has happened, I hear you cry? Well, it's to do with somebody that you probably own, actually. I wouldn't be surprised. Midfielder Anderson from Forest. A lot of people own him. And I saw something today in the news that is kind of putting me off him a little bit. Putting me off him. And that is not him. Not him, peeps. It's this one here. Jason McAtee from Man City is joining Forest for £30 million. And although he is obviously not going to replace Anderson, he could well take a few of his corners, because the reason we have Anderson is very much a steady Eddie, and he's just there for occasional clean sheet points, defensive contributions like an extra point per game, works out about approximately, and he takes corners, so he gets the occasional assist. Well, if McAtee turns up, that takes away some of the corners possibly, and could well also mean that Anderson is no longer a 90-minute player because they've got more resources. They might kind of sub him out a bit earlier, which has a really bad effect on defensive contribution points because they have to rack up 12 over the course of a match. And if they're off the pitch like 10 minutes earlier, even only 10 minutes, it can make a difference to whether they get like 10 or 12 or whatever for that extra point. So it's kind of devaluing Anderson a little bit, I think. I think it does. You know, he might not start straight away, but someone like Anderson, he's there because he's like long term. You can sit him there and he'll tick away. But if he's not ticking along with quite as many assists and minutes as he's predicted to, then it doesn't make him such a good prospect as the analytical people would lead us to believe. You know, they may well adjust his numbers if McAtee joins, adjust them downwards, and it could be after the deadline when he's already in the team. So I'm going off him a little bit. Now there's two options I'm looking at. One is the one that everybody's looking at, and that is Reinders. You know, we've got to have somebody who's a bit of a risk. Do you know what I mean? Because all these other players are so nailed on that it is good to have a risk. The team has changed, by the way, peeps. I had to take Solanke out, and I replaced him with. I've actually changed a few of these. So this is what I did when I was on holiday. I took Solanke out. I brought in Strand Larsen. Had to take Solanke out. He's probably not going to be fit enough to start against Burnley. Replaced Van der Ven with Pedro Porro, who did look very good against PSG. One caveat though, they played 5 at the back, so he was advanced. When they play 4 at the back, he might not be so advanced, but he was on all the set pieces. And Frank was saying how dangerous the set pieces were. So it sounds like he's on them. You know, he's not going to be taken off them. So I've brought him in. Taken the Palace defender out. And brought in the defender that everybody has, is Steve A. So that's my current team with $500,000 in the bank, which I thought was quite nice because it's probably the first time I've done a draft all summer where I haven't felt really, really squeezed for value, which makes me think I'm onto something here. You know, when I can have fit it in comfortably and I'm happy with it, then I like it. I like that fact. So reindeers can come in. The other plan I have is for somebody who's actually playing against Man City this week, and that is Arias, who is a bit of an assist machine in South America. Not too great at scoring goals, but I think for 5.5 million, decent. And I can put him in. I wouldn't want Strand Larsen then, though. So I'd have to take him up to Evan Nielsen, who has great fixtures. But I'll tell you something else about today's news. I mean, look at this. Look at this, peeps. Otara's going now. Apparently the club didn't want him to go. Like Bournemouth didn't want him to go, but he's going. 42 million. 42 to Brentford. Is he that good? Otara? That seems like a huge, huge amount of money. 42 million for him. But he's going anyway. And Bournemouth are all over the place. They're losing so many players. And I see even Strazar, whatever his name is, the defender, isn't even match fit yet. You know, so this is why I've got Salah, because what are Bournemouth doing? It's unbelievable. I know they've got a lot of cash. I just actually bought somebody for 30 million who may or may not get thrown straight into the defence this week. But he's had no training with the team or anything. So it's crazy, crazy. This is why I've got Salah captain. So that's my other option, which would use all my money in the bank. But I'm tempted, very tempted. It'll be one of the two. I'm very tempted by Reindeer. I really am. Because I like the idea of having 500,000 in the bank for one thing. And if this guy does go off, he could be huge, couldn't he? Playing for Man City. If he nails down a sort of almost regular spot for 5.5 million, he could be really good. I mean, I could still get Evan Nielsen. But at the moment, I'm on Strand Larsen, who's, according to the models, whether you can go by them, is going to get the same amount of points as Evan Nielsen anyway over the next so many game weeks. So that's about it. And also having 500,000 in the bank means when I get rid of Pedro Porro in a few weeks, I can replace him with a 6 million defender. So I just really like the idea of having that money there in the bank. So João Pedro, I decided to go with him. People are talking about his Bournemouth days. They talk about what he was like at Brighton. They talk about what he was like at Brighton. But he's only like 22. He's improving really fast, and he could be next level. If he plays like he did at the Club World Cup, he's gone up a level from what he was like at Brighton. You know, so he could be anything, João Pedro. And we know that Delap's going to come on. You know, Delap's going to get all the Carabao Cup and FA Cup and all those games probably. And maybe even one or two easy league games. But João Pedro, honestly, he could have seriously gone up a level now. And if he can sustain it, then for 7.5 million, with Chelsea's fixtures before the Champions League starts, then I think he's the best bet. You know, everyone rushing to Mateta, but they forget that after game week 1, they've got the Conference League. They've got it after game week 2 as well. So I'm prepared to take a risk on João Pedro. And like I always say, you know, because I support Chelsea, I do not like watching them when I don't own their main assets. So I don't want to be watching Chelsea and Pedro scores a hat-trick and I haven't got him. Take the gloss off it a bit. much more exciting when I've got him in my team. So this team is fairly template team. There's no doubt about it. I mean, everybody's Salah teams are looking very similar because when you've got Salah in your team, the price structure is such that it is actually quite difficult to differentiate that much and maintain a decent looking side. So it's no wonder that. I mean, I see people have Thiago, a lot of people, but if Otava's going to, if he's going to Brentford, then that's probably maybe they're not happy with Thiago. Maybe Thiago's not really come back 100% from his injury or is very rusty. So that would be putting me off Thiago if I had him. But the main takeaway from when I went on holiday was getting rid of Watkins, because I tried to have everybody. I tried to have Watkins and that great midfield, but it really did compromise my defence. I mean, it was doable, but I decided I'd rather have the flexibility of a bit of money in the bank. And with the way strikers are now, even if Watkins scores, it's probably only 6 points anyway, and it's not worth compromising all my defence over just one player. That's what I felt. And I didn't want to take out Wirtz when they have Bournemouth. And I also don't know who to replace him with if I did that. And same with Fernandes. I didn't want to take out Fernandes. So Watkins seemed the easier option, really. And it taps me into that magnificent 7 of the 7 standout strikers at 7.5 and 7 million. So João Pedro in a few weeks can become any one of them. Maybe the new Man United striker even. You never know. So that's about it. And I'm thinking Reinders, I'm going off Anderson. I mean, he was nice, but you're relying on him getting all those minutes every week and being on the corners. And with Jason McAtee arriving, I'm not sure we can rely on that. But I also know we can't really rely on Pep either, can we? Yeah, which is why if I get cold feet with Reinders, I will go with Arias and bump Strand Larsen up to Evan Nielsen, who is probably going to be the last player left, and he'll be turning out the lights on his way out, won't he? Because there's going to be nobody else left at Bournemouth, the way it's going. Luckily he hasn't lost most of his attacking players, has he? But any more leave, and it's going to get a bit ridiculous. I just realised I've got the other half's glasses on because I've lost my glasses. So these glasses probably look a bit odd, peeps, but they're not actually mine. I've only just realised I had them on. Anyway, so cheers for now, and this will be the last one before the deadline. So I'm going to have to decide. I'll be up at 4 a.m. panicking, but I certainly will not be changing anybody at all apart from that spot. The Anderson spot is the only one that is up for grabs. Only one that's up for grabs. So cheers for now then, peeps, and I'll talk to you all after the deadline. So good luck everybody in game week 1, and I'll talk to you all later. Okay, so cheers for now then, peeps.